This is the story of a man named Stalin. Stalin worked for the Kremlin, where he was General Secretary of the Communist Party. The General Secretary of the Communist Party's job was simple. He sat at his desk in the Kremlin and signed death warrants. Warrants came to him through an assistant to his desk, showing him what names there were, which ones to have killed, and what few would live. This is what the General Secretary did every day of every month of every year. And although others would have considered it soul-rendering, Stalin relished every moment that the warrants came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stalin was happy. And then one day something very peculiar happened, something that would forever change Stalin, something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single warrant had arrived on his desk for him to sign. No one had shown up to give him praise, call a meeting, or even say glory to Stalin. Never in his years at the Kremlin had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stalin found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his comrades were gone. What could it mean? Stalin decided to head to the meeting room. Perhaps someone had simply missed giving him a memo. If so was the case, he would execute them later. When Stalin came to a set of two open doors, he entered a door on his far left. As he did, he entered the meeting room. Yet there was not a single person here. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stalin decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stalin walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his party leader's office, Stalin was once again stunned to discover not a single indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stalin wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secrets was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk held the answers to this terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret number, 227. But of course, Stalin couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keyboard, Stalin happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing! He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stalin realized that he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never been a concern to him? The question would not go unanswered for long. Stalin walked straight ahead through the large door that read the Communist Party's prison facility. As he went through the door into the darkness, the lights then turned on to reveal an enormous room packed with bodies. What horrible secrets did this place hold? Stalin thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Stalin then walked over to a file cabinet. Now his memory jumped to life. The true nature of this place was revealed. Each of the bodies bore the number of individuals he had found in documents lying in the file cabinet. Stalin's various comrades. The lives of so many individuals reduced to corpses on the floor. Comrades like Leon Trotsky, Gregory Zhukov, and Sergei Kirov, eternally laying on this place where freedom meant nothing. This Communist Party's facility. It was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stalin really been under someone else's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, and the cold reality of his began to sink in. Stalin decided that this slaughterer would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the killer once and for all. He read through the files to see if there was any sign of any sort. Someone must have passed this through after all. Who was it? Who was it? And so, on the final page of the document, he found the signature that had allowed it all to happen. It was his own. Blackness, and the stirring chill of uncertainty. Was it true? Yes, it was true. Now he remembered. He had signed the death warrants of all these people, of the entirety of Moscow. The entirety of the Russian Empire was dead. He had won. Communism had won. He had defeated the kulaks, the bourgeoisie, and those unfaithful to the communist ideal. Freedom was mere moments away, and yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stalin reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his comrade Lenin gone? How had he been freed from the West's grasp? In what ways could he expand the industrialization? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but communism. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand and accept, but to kill and let go. No longer would anyone tell him that they were hungry, that they were tired, and that democracy was the better option. Whatever life he lives, it'll be his underneath this communist utopia, and that was all that he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stalin stepped through the open door, and he felt the cool breeze upon his skin, and saw the city stand silent with its images hanging everywhere. The feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stalin was happy.